How did we get put into this box? Was this some type of cataclysmic unfolding based on the worldwide economies of today and some of the rational thinking of our leaders, and a system based on delivering a psychosis or casting a spell on a populace that we must be living in fear, that we must be living in scarcity, that we are in poverty conscious? How did we get here to this point where I would say a majority of the population are not even in a position to have the faculties to think outside of a rigid box, where everything that has been laid out in front of them and indoctrinated into their system is based on only the rules of living in that box versus a unlimited reality? I think that speaks exactly to what you're saying. We're on the same page. How did we get here in your perspective?
So there was a quote that has guided me since I heard it. I happened to be on an aeroplane when I was watching this movie, Ready Player One, and I ended up watching it twice because it was just so bloody good. And there's a quote that occurs, but I've sort of named it and renamed it and turned it upside down and sort of played around with it 360. And it is, imagination is limited by your reality. And then I flipped it. Reality is limited by your imagination. And so it's one of those, coins that just keeps on turning. And as you flick it, you just think about, wow, okay, so if my reality is effectively the space that I have programmed myself into, I have programmed it, is there a way that I can help others to also program theirs? And it's interesting because during this lockdown, that's effectively the indoor environment that we have designed to be in, our homes, the way that we live, the way that we love, the way that we comfort not only ourselves, but others. It's our family place. It's the place that we work, that we think, that we sleep, that we dream. And yet in these places, we program spaces of ill mental health. And as you would call it, ill nutritional health. How do we get this far without realizing that we all have mental health? How do we look after ours? And so, if I take a step back, and I think you did mention this, we've just rolled and rolled and rolled in the field of fear. And perhaps we don't have the neurons for love. But the default is something that has been created. But is that creation in tune with what we want? Is there a divine essence, a connection point that allows us to go beyond just ourselves? And I think yoga, and the practices around this are profound if they're not taken by way of a sport. I think, yes, you can, increase your flexibility and your strength-based training, whatever. But if you can look between the exercises, between the breaths, between the notes, between the words, I think you get into the ether, the akash, the element that is the least seen, but the most present.
What if everybody's guts are dilapidated? What if they're filled with pollutants? What if they're filled with GMOs? What if they're filled with glyphosate? Heavy metals.
God.
Herbicides, fungicides, larvicides, insecticides, even worse things, which is diabolically destroying the body's ability to recognize itself and to make awareness of self. So all of a sudden you've done that. Then you've hit a populace with fear. And the whole problem, reaction, solution. You create a problem, there's a reaction, then you're providing the solution to the problem you've created. And as you know, when you're in a state of fear, panic, scarcity, you'll take on any solution. This seems to be a pattern that's been going on with cycles over and over and over in terms of the linear time space.